You know, if I could put time in a bottle and then spray it with my weed control. I don't know the rest of the words to that song, but time, 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 everywhere the time. Nope, that ain't it either. Anyway, there you go. We're gonna do a full update on that at some point. Anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the video that I'll link right up there where I sprayed weed control in the ProVista over by there. Anyway, lots going on this weekend. What I'm gonna do, actually mostly in this video, is talk about fungicides, and this will be good for cool or warm season, but obviously because I have St Augustine grass mostly and Zoysia over there, that'll be the primary focus. But again, this video will apply to any of you that have problems with disease in your lawn. But before we do that, it is time for the Viridian to get its first cut. We are now past the cold season. You can see a little bit, see this, see the purpling that you see right there? You see that? See that purple right there? Yeah, that's cold damage. So if you're seeing that right now, it's just normal. And that's why I didn't cut, because just letting that all stand up there, I don't care if the tips get a little singed from the cold, because I'm gonna cut that off right now. So I'm gonna do that first mow, and then I also have to mow the Floratam over here. It's time. It's been, I don't know how long it's been, a month maybe? But you can see we also have some cold damage here. So nothing to worry about. Just give her a cut and good to go. Now, I did just fertilize this as well as put down my prodiamine pre-emergent. That's another video that I'll link up there. I don't know when I'm actually gonna publish that. Probably it'll be published by the time you're seeing this. So that'll be up there, following the Yard Mastery app, doing my first few applications. That was literally just done yesterday, so you're not gonna see any results here right now. But that's the kind of work I gotta do. Mostly gotta do a little mowing and a little throwing. And I got some new gifts from my sponsor, Ego. As you know, when you're me and this is how you make a living, one of the ways you make a living is you take on sponsorships. And I've been with Ego now for a couple, 2-3 years. And so this is the batch of stuff that I'm gonna get to work with for the 2025 season.
Plateau de Cuba, Siopia, Compose. One time I was wearing this shirt at the mall and an older dude stopped me. He goes, "Hey, do you play chess?" And I said, "No, I don't play chess, but I know the best place to get a mustard-colored sweater and black Z Cavaricis." You know what I mean? Here's one quick thing I'll show you. This is the new blower, and besides the really cool little LCD screen right there, this one is 880 CFM. Now this used to be the most powerful blower on the market, 765, but I think some other companies came out with one that was more, probably like 879, so these guys came out with 880. The blower wars that you'll see amongst these companies where they're trying to get the most CFMs, which I'll put on the screen, whatever that means. It reminds me of dudes at the gym comparing the size of their biceps or maybe other body parts. You'll see they also have a little bit smaller of a footprint now. Can you see how wide that is? So it's not as girthy. It may be, well, let's see, is it as long? It might be a 1/4 inch longer, which I don't know. You tell me, does a 1/4 inch make a difference? But definitely this one's not as girthy as this one, but it generates more power. So I guess it's all about the motion of the ocean. You know what I mean, boys? All right, can't do it with one hand. I tried. It's a two-handed job, son. The jokes, they just write themselves. Now here's the thing, the Viridian, it actually is gonna be cut much lower. So I'm gonna start on the Floratam at the highest setting. Also, my favorite part of this mower so far, no mulch plug. No mulch plug, it's just right there. You can go full mulch, 1/3 mulch, half bag, 2/3 bag mulch, full bag, I don't know. I'm not good at fractions, but either way, no mulch plug. right, well, I will give you a full review on this mower coming up. This is just my first run with it, but I'll tell you, it's an enjoyable mow and it cuts great. Now, some of you might ask, why did I mow the Viridian so low? That is because it's not a dwarf variety, don't call it that, but because of the nature of it, you can actually mow this around 3 inches or even 2 3/4 if you wanted to. And in fact, it's kind of recommended to keep it a little lower. And that's actually a good thing because that gives you forgiveness. When you're mowing Floritam like over there, you have to mow on the top setting every time and you can't go any higher. So if you miss a mow or something happens, it's just, you're in trouble. With this, you can mow this down, and I think I actually have it around 2.5 right now. You can keep this at 2.5 or 3, and it's a slower grower anyway, so you're not gonna make a mistake. But if you missed things for a long time, you have plenty of room there, plenty of fudge factor to take your mower all the way up to tame it back down. So another advantage of the Viridian. And ProVista is the same way. Mow them around 3 inches, 2.75. And also, it's a pretty sharp look. I've never seen St. Augustine mowed low, but that looks super sharp to me.
Tomorrow. All right, y'all, welcome back. It is overcast. Today's Sunday. It's been overcast since yesterday, too. I was going to apply fungicide yesterday, but it was raining a little bit, so I figured I'd wait till today. Still overcast, but this is exactly why we're applying fungicides, this weather right here. But I just wanted to show you the Viridian looks incredible cut low. And man, look at the dark color, too. This is Viridian, that's Floritam. So we'll see. I put the stress blend down. It's been 3 days, 4 days now. 4 days, so still no results yet because it's still pretty cold out, but either way, we'll see what happens now when they both start to green up from the stress blend. So we're definitely gonna talk a lot about fungicides today, but I wanted to go over a couple things real quick with you. The first one is, people will ask me a lot, Alan, when I have leftover fertilizer, what do I do with it? And we just filmed a video where we threw down stress blend, and when we do that, typically we'll go through sometimes 2 or 3 bags, not because it's all going down over there, but because we do different angles of the pour and everything like that. And so I end up having a lot of open bags. You can't really put fertilizer back into a bag. It's like trying to reuse a condom. So I just want to let y'all know, the best way to do it, to store fertilizer, that I have found, is you just get these buckets. This is why I have so many of these buckets laying around. Just get these buckets at the old, this one actually came from the old Los over there. And there you go. And then label it, of course. I know this is stress blend, because I know this is stress blend. Gosh, that smells good. Anyway, because of all the orange in there, that's all the potassium, is that orange color. But if you're not sure, if you can't recognize, there you go. That's the best way to store fertilizer. Another little thing I noticed, someone on Facebook showed Image Purple Top that we have always used for all warm season lawns, all grass types, has changed. So I haven't had a chance to really dig into it too much, but the main thing they've done is change the look of the bottle. This does have a purple top. I just lost it. So we've always called it Image Purple Top. Now they've gone to this kind of midnight look. Pretty ballsy move, actually, because people get used to looking in the store for the same thing all the time. So, but I mean, I like this updated look. I guess we'll have to call this, what, Image Midnight Top or something maybe. Other than that, a couple things to notice, and I'm going to take some time over the next week or so and really dig into this. The active ingredients are still the same, even though on the new Midnight you can't hardly read it. It doesn't print real well, at least for my old eyes. It doesn't seem to print too well on that dark Midnight background, but the active ingredients are the same. So that hasn't really changed, but what has changed is they're saying this quart, 32 ounces, covers 6,670 square feet. And this one says 5,000. So they must have changed something on the label somewhere, but the active ingredients are still the same. So, I'll go ahead and redo some content on this for you guys, get it updated. I just want to let you know that here real quick in case you're seeing that in the stores. Seems to be the same, just a different look and feel. All right, next let's talk about fungus, fungicides. With warm season turf, especially St. Augustine and Zoysia. Bermuda, not so much. Bahia, not so much. It's early Sunday morning, don't want to yell. Centipede, not so much. Maybe a little bit more. But for sure, St. Augustine and Zoysia are super susceptible, and the word super susceptible, that's a technical term. You can read it in the literature. Super susceptible to large patch, in and out of seasonal transitions. Now, the last seasonal transition we came through was fall, and I put down fungicides. I actually used this expensive stuff here from the pharmaceutical company Bayer, and it worked great. I was given this for free, and actually it's a little bit cheaper. If you can get a hold of this, it's a little bit cheaper to buy this than the store-bought stuff today. And I'll be showing you pricing in, through, and out this. The difference is convenience, right? But I've been using this, it's worked well. However, I haven't applied fungicide in about 45 days, especially on my new sod. I definitely need it there, need it everywhere. So we're gonna apply fungicide today. I've already showed you how to use this, the expensive, when I say expensive upfront investment, pharmaceutical stuff. The good news is you can get very, very similar products, and when I say that, same chemical class, same mode of action. Lots of different ways to say it. Anyway, you can get really good stuff at the store as well. You're gonna pay more for it, but you have a lot more of a convenience factor here, mainly because you have Granular available, which most of you, from what I've seen over the years, most of you prefer Granular. It's just easier for you to do. So what you're gonna find this year is I am going to talk about using a strong fungicide program. In the past, I haven't pushed fungicides as much. I shouldn't say that. A few years ago, I was big on fungicides all the time. Then I kind of got for a couple years where I was like, man, I'd really like to try to use less chemical, integrated pest management. You know, I'd like to try to use less, let my lawn kind of do its thing, kind of work through it. But man, I got rocked with disease for a couple years there, so went back to it. I've also found that all the powers that be, the ones that create the literature, those people that work at the universities and stuff, they don't mind the pharmaceuticals. They're all about that. It's nitrogen and phosphorus that scares them, but not the pharmaceuticals. So blanket the earth with chemicals, according to the universities, you're good to go. So that's what we're gonna do, again, because I want my grass to be thick and green and healthy, and I don't want disease to hit it. Large patch, big deal, heading into the seasonal transition. You can see, by the way, disease is not caused by you. Disease is caused by three things. It's the three-legged stool of the host has to be there, which is your turf grass. And again, your susceptible turf grasses here are St Augustine and Zoysia, mostly for large patch. Then you have to have the right conditions. We have those. We have humidity, overcast skies, no wind, still conditions. That's right. That's the conditions. And then the third thing is you just have to have the pathogen available, or the pathogen present, and it's going to be in all lawns. You can't stop that. That's not your fault. These things just travel, they just move. Some of them are there when you move in. Once you have large patch spores in your lawn, they're pretty much always going to be there. It's just a matter of if you apply fungicides at the right time, you can suppress them so they don't take advantage of these conditions. So that's kind of where we're at. Fungus in your lawn is never your fault, no matter what people tell you on Facebook. So with that, oh, one other thing I wanted to say. We are not using this. You guys have seen me use Claris 333 6F. This is more for the summertime when we're gonna have an issue with gray leaf spot, which is mainly just a St. Augustine problem. So we're not gonna use this one today, but I did wanna bring it up because a lot of you have seen me use it. This is for gray leaf spot later in the year. All right, lots of rambling here today, but that's all right. This is a teaching video. So why do I have two different fungicides here? And the reason I do is because I'm using what I call the bulletproof strategy. That's a term I created, not a technical term, although you could consider it that because I'm pretty technical. Anyway, we have two different modes of action, two different active ingredients. We have one here that's Azoxystrobin. That's a strobilurin fungicide. I don't remember the group number on it. Group stands for mode of action, or how it works against the fungus. I'll put it up, but that's the strobilurin. And then we have good old Propiconazole. That has been around for a long, long time. Very successful fungicide. And it is another group. I don't remember what group. I'll put it up. But again, it's two different ways, two different groups, two different modes of action. What that means is it's the active ingredient in these two products is going to attack the fungicide in two different ways. And that way, when it comes at it in two different ways, it stops the fungus from building resistance. So what happens is fungi, they're very good at overcoming things. They're very good at adaptation and moving. And actually, fungi are very important in the soil. It's just not these. We just don't want these particular ones in there. Anyway, they're very good at overcoming things. So by hitting it from two different angles, you help to reduce the ability of that fungus to adapt and overcome the active ingredient, or what they would call resistance. It's resistance management. You're stopping that. So we're using two modes of action. I wanted to say, by the way, the Bio Advanced, which used to be Bayer Advanced, another big pharmaceutical company. This is a French company owns this now, so that's not even American made, but it does come in liquid if you prefer that. Hose-in sprayer. Scott's DiseaseEx. Pretty sure Scott's is American owned. They're in Ohio. Hoorah, Ohio. Didn't you guys win a national championship this year? Congratulations. I don't really care about sports, but I know you guys in Ohio do, for sure. Anyway, that's our two modes of action, bulletproof strategy. If you want to dig into the bulletproof strategy more, I'll give you links below. I've done a whole bunch of stuff on that. The last thing I wanted to say is it's very similar to what's in here. Now, the active ingredients that are in this Armada here, they're different active ingredients, but they're the same 2 chemical classes. I'll put something up side by side to show you. So these store-bought products should work very, very similar to these here because it's all the same modes of action. Again, these are just available to you. So let's go now and let's look at some pricing, because that's the other thing people want to talk about is how much does this stuff cost. So what I'll do is I'll put up the pricing of these 2 different products, these 2 granulars that I have here to show you how much it'll cost to do like a 5,000 square foot lawn. And then I'll also put up this Armada, this pharmaceutical grade, and show you what that costs for a 5,000 square foot lawn to give you an idea of how these things kind of work. All right, so there you go. Now you have an idea of the pricing and how all that works. But again, I think most of you prefer granular. Me, I actually prefer to use a liquid, and that's because large patch in this case, it's a disease that attacks the leaf blade and also hangs out more in the crown of the grass. It's not necessarily all root, even though some of it will be in the root area. And you got to think about it, when you spray a liquid, it kind of coats the top and coats down in there, whereas the granular has to be watered in and it goes into the root zone and then has to kind of work its way back up through. So anyway, but I understand they're gonna work the same. It's just the liquid would work a little bit kind of faster, I think. It'd be quicker. But again, the granular will work just fine. And again, this is what most of you are gonna use because this is what you're comfortable with. So the nice thing here is treats up to 5,000 square feet, treats up to 5,000 square feet. So we're good there, but we gotta look a little bit deeper here because we have a difference in a preventative and a curative. So a preventative means you're putting this down before you see active disease in the lawn, whereas curative means you have active disease and you're trying to stop it. By the way, if you have active disease like I do over here, this is my Zoysia and I have active large patch all through here. I've actually stopped even treating this. This hasn't been cut in like 3 months because my neighbor had a pool installed over here, you see. And so we're gonna have to rip a lot of this up anyway, because what we're gonna do, because he had that done, we have to fix all that. We're gonna go ahead and install drainage and stuff, because the reason the large patch has moved this way is because this is where water flows. Water just sits here. Even after I irrigate, it just sits here and then it just flows, and you can kind of see. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get some drainage in here. So that's gonna be a big video coming up. Holy giant bags under my eyes. Okay, so there is active disease here, so I would put down a curative rate here if I was going to apply. I'm not though, because again, this is all gonna get ripped out, so I'm not putting any chemical here. That's just a waste. But I just wanted to say, if you have active disease in your lawn, use the curative rate, which will also prevent further, but you'll be using a curative rate. The other thing is that right there, if I was gonna try to treat this and keep it going, it's gonna take a couple months for that to recover. You gotta let the stolons and rhizomes move their way back in. So you put down the fungicide, it stops it in its tracks, then you start feeding it so it can work its way back in and fix itself. I'm sure I've done videos on that in the past too. It will come along, but either way, curative if you have active disease, preventative like we're gonna do over here today where we don't have any active disease, but we're just trying to make sure we don't get any. So that's the difference between curative and preventative. See, we have right here preventative rate, and then we have curative rate. It just depends on what your spreader is. But either way, we're going with the preventative rate because I'm applying over there today on the new sod. So our preventative rate is 2 pounds per 1,000 square feet. Just so you know, the curative is double that, 4 pounds per 1,000. So we're at the preventative, 2 pounds per 1,000. And you can see this is a 10-pound bag. And so 10 divided by 2 is 5. And so that's why you can get 5,000 square feet of coverage. All right, and here's the French-made Bio Advanced. Now, they're a little bit different. They have things a little different here. Their preventative rate, depending on what disease you're going after, is a little different. We're going after brown patch. We call it large patch in the South. It's Rhizoctonia. It's called brown patch when it's on cool season lawns. But either way, oh, look at that striped smut. Oosh, I had that in college. Well, you don't want to get that. Anyway, preventative rate, 2 pounds per 1,000 for brown patch or large patches, which is what we're going after. But apparently, if you have some of these other ones, take all patch, fusarium, then you could use a higher rate of 3.5 as preventative. Now, if you have brown patch, large patch, and you want to do a curative, let's see, curative, you apply at 14-day intervals. Preventative, you just apply at 21 to 30. So it's the same rate on the Bio Advanced, you just apply it closer together as a curative rather than preventative. Wow, that's confusing, I know, that's all right. Brown patch, what we're doing today, 2 pounds per 1,000 because we're preventing, 2 pounds per 1,000. So both of these, 2 pounds per 1,000, 10 pounds, and so that's how you get your 5,000 square feet. I know some of this can get pretty confusing to you all. I also know what the reality is. Majority of you, you're gonna look at the spreader setting, you're gonna dump it in, and you're just gonna go and hope for the best. I already know, I'm not telling you to do that. This is why I do take the time. I think I'm the only YouTuber that does take the time to dig into these labels and help you understand them. But I already know, most of you just dump. I don't recommend that, but that's just the reality of it. Here's the thing. 2 pounds per thousand for each of these. This will be for Zoysia and St. Augustine, 2 pounds per thousand, preventative rate. That's what we're doing. Let's throw her down and hope for the best. All right, now you're gonna ask about the spreader settings. Well, Scott's only gives you spreader settings for Scott spreaders, which I can understand that. So I'm gonna figure it out for you. I'm just gonna do it logically. By the way, you're not mixing the 2 products together in the hopper. Don't do that because they'll flow differently. It's not gonna get an even application. This has to be 2 separate applications, okay? So the way I'm gonna figure out the spreader setting, and then I'll give it to you. If you have an Earthway spreader, it'll work, should work, is I'm gonna pull a few grains out like this. By the way, you can do this with any product you have, and I trust you. See, this is where you're gonna use a little bit of your intuition and your smarts, and I want you to know that I trust you. I trust you to make a good decision, okay? So you have my permission. So I got some of the grains in there, and all I'm gonna do is just set them down in there, right next to the little holes. Now you're not gonna probably be able to see that because this is a black spreader with brown prills. And I'm gonna come up here and I'm just gonna, now 2 pounds per thousand, right? So I gotta think, I'm gonna have to crank this down pretty far. Let's go down around like, let's just go down around like, I don't know, 11 on this bad dog. Let's just see. And let's open that up. What do we get? Oh, look at that, okay. So can you see, I'll try to zoom in on the camera. But I'm just looking at the size of the grains there, and I'm looking at that opening, and how does that look like it's gonna flow? It doesn't look like it's gonna flow too fast to me, probably not fast enough. So I'm gonna go ahead, and again, I'm just using my brain here. So I'm gonna go ahead and crank that out. Now, some of you, if you're really not sure, by the way, this won't burn anything, so I don't want you to worry about that. You just wanna be responsible. So if you wanted to, you could weigh all this out. But again, I've done this before, so I feel confident, and I feel confident in you too. So right there, that looks pretty good. When I look at the size of those grains and I can picture those flowing through there, I'm picturing that in my mind. I'm like, yeah, that looks pretty good. It doesn't look like it's gonna be too crazy at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Now, the one thing you don't wanna do is just dump the whole bag in and go crazy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dump half the bag in, and I'm gonna do a 2,500 square foot area, and I'm just gonna see how I came out and hope for the best. See, because dumping only half the bag in means I'm not risking the whole thing. I'm only risking half of it. And by the way, even as I'm going, I'll be able to tell when I get started how things look, how things seem to be flowing, how the product is moving down in the hopper as I'm walking and I'm looking at my space. All of this is just about, this is part of learning your land, understanding, it's all part of that. And while this seems complicated if you're new, once you take care of your own land and you do spread something, and you spread fertilizer, fungicide, whatever you do, once you do it 2 or 3 times, you are a literal expert. And that's because you only have to learn one small piece of land. In my case, I'm doing 5,000 square feet over here. That's all I have to know. You know, think about lawn professionals. They're doing dozens of lawns. Some of them manage 600 or 700 lawns in their route that they'll do over a number of weeks. That's a lot to deal with, right? That's a lot of land to learn. You have one little piece of land to learn. It's very easy to do that, trust me. Just like I trust you. Okay, so I did one pass now. I didn't do a trim pass with this stuff. I'll blow it all over. And I already know that my spreader throws about over to right here, right? So I've done that much of the lawn. And I already know, because I know my land, it usually takes me about 4 passes to do this whole thing. So I just did one pass. I got 3 more to go. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna logically look. And again, I was watching this go down as I went. You can't really see it. That's the thing about brown prills against a dark green lawn. You can't see the product. But what you can see is you can see it flowing down as you go. And then I can reach back in here and go, oh yeah, I'm still pretty good. Still got quite a bit in there. So that was one pass. I got 3 left to go. This feels right. This feels logical. I think I'm good. I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so now I've done pass that way, one back this way, did my bump out over here. Now I got one more to go this way, and then I have one more coming down this way. What do I look like?
Boy, that's gonna be close. That's gonna be close, but I think we're gonna be okay.
Walking speed, 3.5 miles per hour, putting some ass into it.
Oh, look at that. Just a little bit left, but
got to do the old parkway over there. I used to ignore this for years, but because I got the new Viridian Sod in there, it's going to get taken care of for sure now.
Hey, that's pretty good, huh? The old man still has a pretty good job
At eyeballing, so 2 pound per thousand rate, we can call it. Now again, every one of these spreaders is a little different, but what are we at here? 12? I don't know, I don't have my Glacerios on, but I'm saying 12. So Earthway 2600 A+, and the Yard Mastery spreader for Scott's DiseaseEx, 2 pounds per thousand rate, setting 12. Now we can go ahead and do the rest. Okay, y'all, there you go. I hope that wasn't too confusing to you on the spreader settings there. Your mileage may vary, but I don't want you to be worried about this. Like I said, I already know what the reality is of these things. So it does say on the Scotts to water it in for 15 to 20 minutes. So that's telling me we don't need a precision watering in here. What they really want is just some water on it to activate it. They really don't want it watered way deep into the soil, and way deep, again, being an Alan Hayne technical term.
One eternity later.
All right, y'all, so it's taken me a long time to edit this video. Today is actually February 8th. I'm filming a wrap up. I want to show you a couple two-tree things. First, let's go take a look at the back where I showed you in the very beginning of the video how the weeds has finally started to die. Okay, so if you haven't seen the video I did a couple weeks ago, I'll link it over there. It's the one where I pay attention to detail, airmen, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I've done a bunch of pruning back here since then, but I just wanted to show you the weed control wasn't working, or I thought it didn't work because of the cold, this and this and that. But I also mentioned that I thought it might just be slow because of the cold, and that is the case. Look now, these weeds, they're completely zorched, completely gone. Look at this. Now, they'll come back. See, there's a lot of green still in here, so they're gonna come back, but the glyphosate definitely worked. Now, there's not a lot of grass under here, so that's a whole nother thing. It's also climbing up the tree. I'm gonna have to rip that off. You know, ignoring your lawn is, you know, you got a lot to pay for when you ignore your lawn. So it's gonna take a little while for this to all come back. But look, see? So the long and the short of it is the glyphosate did work. It's just I needed to be more patient because it was cold. So stay tuned, ProVista here. Gonna be where I did hit it with flagship, but it needs a lot more. It's been sitting, it's had nothing, and I've told you if you get these going too long, or you let these sit for too long over winter, it takes a while to get it going. So did an app of flagship. I'll do another one this week, probably just push to really wake this bad dog up, and again start to fill in some of these areas where the weeds were. And yeah, maybe I get some plugs or something, I don't know, we'll see. But I just want to give you an update there. The weed control did work. All right, but where I really wanted to show you, look at this. So this is Viridian St Augustine grass. Can you see how dark that is? So it has been over a week now since I hit it with the stress blend, and this here, this is the Viridian. You can see the difference. This is so much darker. So, and it's really not even fully established yet. It's still going to take it a little while. I can still see a few seams in there, here and there, that I haven't filled in yet, because we're only in February, right? We're not even in our best growth push yet. And just to give you an idea, That's what most lawns in the neighborhood look like. That's treated by a professional lawn service. They do the whole soil testing and blah, 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 blah. There you go. Yeah, there's lawn care nut, Floratam, and Viridian. So the Viridian is definitely darker. If you like this, again, I'll give you a link below. You can talk to Scott at Scott's, and he will let you know the availability on Viridian in Florida, or ProVista. ProVista is dark too. Not this dark, but still super dark and a lot darker than that. Anyway, there you go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is going to be put out on Super Bowl Sunday, so whoever your team is, I hope they win. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and hopefully you get to enjoy the most soon wherever you are. With that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the lawn.